Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and I am with Action for Assange outside of the detention center where Chelsea Manning is being held in Alexandria, Virginia. We've got more people showing up right now. Here's Andrew passing me by, who helped organize this thing. Andrew, tell people how long Chelsea Manning has been wrongly detained in this prison.
So in this prison, it's going over 300 days at this point. I think it's almost over $300,000 in fines as well, because she's getting fined $1,000 a day. But this is 11 years at this point. This isn't the first time she's gone to prison. This is the third.
And again, it's almost like double jeopardy, as her sentence was commuted by the Obama administration. Really one of the only things that I thought was of a positive nature. And for that not only to be overturned, but in turn, basically try to get Chelsea Manning to lie about Julian Assange.
That's what this whole thing is a perjury trial. They either want her to say her previous statements wrong, so she gets herself put in punitive punishment, or they want her to just lie and say, yeah, Julian helped me hack the computer, so that way they can get him sent to the US. So her stance here is as important as Julian's stance over in the UK. So that's why we're here today, and that's why we try to promote her so much, because without her principled stance against this empire, Julian would be shipped off and up over here. So I am as grateful for her as I am for Julian.
Absolutely, and remember, that is the person on the ground, Andrew, that is the leak to this, right?
And I hope more people do it. I hope there's someone that watches in here that's from the FBI or the CIA or from some local police department and can blow the whistle in their own community or with the information they have access to. Because corruption doesn't only happen overseas. Corruption happens in our cities and in our streets as well.
All the time, everywhere. You know, I mean, we were talking about, me and Steve, we passed a statue of Marion Barry the other day. I don't remember if you know the Marion Barry story, but you know, that's the ex-mayor of DC that was caught on camera smoking crack with like a woman he was trying to sleep with, and that was entrapment. They were setting him up because he wasn't playing as corruptly as they wanted him to. I mean, that should show people that when they'll set up their own mayor to smoke crack, they'll do anything.
I mean, shit, wasn't it the mayor of Toronto that got caught smoking crack too a while back?
Well, but he died.
No,
he ended up dying.
I know, that's something different. But
well, the thing with Barry was he got reelected afterwards.
Really?
They couldn't. Yeah.
Okay, I hadn't realized
he was that popular because he wasn't letting some of the big business come in that the DC elites wanted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we all have our problems. The guy was obviously, yes, I'm sorry. The guy was obviously cheating on his wife or whatever, but it shows you corruption comes in all flavors. Dak Rouleau is walking towards me. Dak has been successful at confronting some of the presidential candidates this year on the Democratic end. Dak, why don't you tell people about those confrontations and how this type of activism transitions into that?
Well, when I saw that the corporate media wasn't doing its job in asking the presidential candidates a very basic question about an international criminal case that's been dragging on for 10 years now, I decided to take it upon myself and ask them if they're going to stand up for Julian Assange. Asked about between 15 and 20 of the candidates, and they didn't have much optimistic to say. The only one, of course, who did say that she would drop the charges against Assange was Tulsi Gabbard, and the others were mild at best.
Mild at best. I mean, some people laughed in your face. Amy Klobuchar laughed in your face.
She did.
Yeah.
Amy Klobuchar told the New York Times. The New York Times did eventually ask her if she was going to, where she stood on the issue of Julian Assange. She said that she, as the daughter of a newspaper man, I believe very much in the values of First Amendment freedoms, freedom of expression, blah, blah, blah. When I asked her just point blank, do you support Julian Assange and will you pardon him if you're president? She sneered and said, no, I will not, sorry. So either she lied to me, she lied to the New York Times, she lied to the American people. I don't know, but proves she can't be trusted. It proves she doesn't have any principles on this case. And so eventually you just have to take matters in your own hands. You can't rely on these politicians to be your saviors.
Absolutely, they're establishment hacks in both the media, in mainstream politics. I mean, the fact that the media is still trying to sell you Bloomberg as a guy that could actually be president is unbelievable to me. I mean, no one wants that guy, and they're going to try to anybody but Bernie.
Exactly. Bloomberg, for the record, a guy who believes in a policy like stop and frisk, walking people who there's no reason to believe that they're going to commit any crime or have any criminal intent. If he believes that they do not have basic of dignity as American citizens, and they don't need to be harassed by the state, there's no reason to believe that he's going to stick his neck out for Julian Assange.
And we just got to ask the question, do we think that Bernie will free them? Thumbs this video up, by the way. I don't think anything. I know that he has not made the right statements on Assange. Dak is the person that actually asked Bernie Sanders this question, and he said verbatim, "I'm aware of the issue, but would not comment."
Look, Bernie Sanders, people try to say that he is trying to placate the military-industrial complex until he gets into office. I get frustrated with those people, but at the same time I have to point out Mike Gravel, who's obviously a lot smarter than I am. He did say that he felt that Bernie Sanders would build the Department of Justice that would drop the charges against Julian Assange. I certainly hope so, but I'm not going to be endorsing Bernie Sanders anytime soon. I think that Bernie Sanders, look, clearly this is my thing with Bernie. If he is doing that and he's just looking to dodge this issue until he gets into office so he can do the right thing, clearly his campaign staff was not prepared to answer the criticism that they were going to be encountering on this question. It could be that they don't think that people like us actually form any kind of viable constituency, and they don't think that our political opinion is going to resonate, and that may be, but that's why we're out here now, to remind people that we are here and that we do believe in this, and this is something we expect our politicians to take seriously.
100,000%. And although they've taken Tulsi Gabbard out of the picture, off the stage, despite her hitting way more qualifiers than Michael Bloomberg ever could, she is the one candidate that said that Manning, Assange, Snowden, they should be pardoned for their crimes preemptively because there are no crimes. So, I'll say this. I watched the debate, at least parts of it last night. They were trying to smear Bernie with the Russian hoax again. He was the one guy that was brave enough to step up and call Netanyahu a racist. He had a great position on decriminalizing marijuana federally and allowing people like me to be able to sell it, and not just corporate interests and guys like Anthony Weiner, who were exposed in those DNC emails. Again, circling back to WikiLeaks, my thing is, if he were smart enough to choose Tulsi Gabbard as a running mate and she stepped up to the plate, I think I would think about endorsing her.
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly not going to blame him, but if it's Bernie versus Trump, my personal recommendation would probably be to vote for Bernie, because we've seen that Donald Trump, his Department of Justice, is clearly not sympathetic to this issue. Donald Trump's ties, by the way, not just to Netanyahu, but also William Barr, have to be taken seriously. Clearly, this is an authoritarian government, regardless of Trump's personal involvement in it. Personally, I don't think Trump was too heavily involved in Assange's arrest. I think that was more Mike Pence and some of the other people beneath him. But whatever the partitioning, this administration is not sympathetic to First Amendment rights. So trying to switch it up by going with Bernie, I'm fully sympathetic to that. But at the same time, it is disappointing when even the best public defender of Julian Assange is Tulsi Gabbard, who never once said that I believe in the virtue of what Julian Assange is doing. She was just criticizing the American government's case against it. And that's an important distinction that shows how underwhelming our political options are. So
it shows you where the goalpost has been moved. It's been moved very, very far. That's why I did that broadcast on Rockfin. I did half on YouTube, half on Rockfin from that 2007 debate for the 2008 election, when every mainstream candidate up there was saying they had a plan to get us out of Iraq. They were going to close Guantanamo Bay. They were going to end these wars of aggression in the Middle East. And we've seen nothing but the opposite 12 years later, no matter what rhetoric somebody running for office has spit out, including Trump.
Well, it's interesting how people will say that a person like Barack Obama is anti-war just because his rhetoric on the campaign trail was, if not quite pacifistic, at least critical of the George W. Bush administration. However, every time we change the guard, here comes the new boss, just like the old one. And that's why...
It's Dak Rouleau, by the way, Mr. Gritch. Dak Rouleau. This is the guy that's actually asking the big questions. Yes, Andrew. Oh, you just wanted to pop in? Again, this is the guy that's confronted Bernie Sanders on Assange, that's confronted Amy Klobuchar, that confronted Andrew Yang, that confronted Pete Bootlicker. I mean, the list goes on. The guy's a goddamn superhero.
well, here's the lesson that I take away from this, is that we did seem to get a little bit of an impact when we asked them the questions, because this is what we noticed. The last 3 or 4 candidates that we asked about Julian Assange, me and my assistant, Christy Doff, when after I asked about 15 people about Assange, we noticed that some of these prominent candidates claimed that they didn't know enough about the issue in order to comment on it. Now that's very interesting when Cory Booker said he didn't know enough about Julian Assange to take a stance. Cory Booker is very good friends with Hillary Clinton and appeared on her short list for vice presidential pick. So I think he knows quite a bit about WikiLeaks.
Cory Booker is like the worst used car salesman ever. I mean,
Yes.
the guy.
Not just him, but also Tom Steyer. Tom Steyer is very good friends with John Podesta, exchanged many personal emails with him that came out in the WikiLeaks dump of 2016. So I think he knows quite a bit about WikiLeaks despite his claims of ignorance. And then we also asked Deval Patrick. Deval Patrick, of course, has connections with Hillary Clinton, having served under the Clinton administration back in the 90s with his, he was the Attorney General for Civil Rights under Bill Clinton. The Assistant Attorney General.
Interesting.
So yeah, these people have connections. They know about a case that's been going on for 10 years. This is not some obscure local issue on which they cannot comment.
Not only a case that's been going on against for 10 years, but an organization that was so notorious after
Yes.
those drops of Abu Ghraib, of Guantanamo Bay, of journalists being killed,
2016.
that you could not get away from the headlines.
And the point is that after the first 15 of them were asked about it, suddenly they claimed they didn't know enough about the issue. It seems that perhaps the word got out that their New Hampshire staff told them, if you go into New Hampshire, there might be some guy who comes up and asks you about Julian Assange. What that shows is that if the people do actually get together and start doing something, that we can see the slightest impact on our political culture. And
All right,
so
it looks like we're getting right now, and maybe not, but it looks like right now law enforcement from the jail. Let's see, maybe not. Looks like he's walking the other way.
We spoke to them. They were good.
They were all good, so we're all good to go on this. Excellent, excellent.
But yeah, just the point I wanted to make is that if we continue to harass these candidates about it, we can see that maybe they will realize that they need to take the right stance on this. So if you live in a primary or caucus state where they're going to be coming and bothering you, you can look up to see where their events are. You can get up. You can bring your friends to make sure that you get your question in. Let them know that it's just not one person; it's a mass movement of people.
Absolutely. Dak, I'm going to come over to some of the other protesters. We're going to hit you back again. Christy Dopp. Why don't you tell people how you organize this, where we are? Actually, let's swing around so people can actually see the prison behind us. So this is it. This is where Chelsea Manning is actually being held. And tell people why this is so important.
So this is important because Chelsea Manning is the whistleblower. She is being imprisoned because she will not cooperate with the grand jury system that does want to ask her questions about Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. She's already been under one trial and was convicted and served a sentence, and that sentence was commuted by President Obama. Then she was re-imprisoned after being subpoenaed by the grand jury. That grand jury disbanded, but with grand juries, they can dissolve and then re-put themselves back together almost immediately because she was out maybe a couple weeks, I think.
Yep.
Then subpoenaed again, refused to answer any questions. So now she's back in prison. She's being fined $1,000 a day now. So not only is she being imprisoned to coerce her into cooperating, but she's financially being manipulated with these fines, which is apparently legal, or at least
Which is insane because it's not like, first of all, there are no crimes. Let's get that out of the way. But there are certainly no allegations of crimes of a financial nature at all. So where are these fines coming from? It's another level of intimidation. The saying, hey, you'll get out one day, $1.5 million in debt.
Yeah. She spent, I think it's 77% of her adult life in prison. So this is, she's made some amazing speeches before going in to answer the subpoena, just saying, I'm not going to. It doesn't matter what you do to me. I'm not going to cooperate. I don't believe in the grand jury system. And yeah, so she's a very courageous person and very intimately tied to the indictments that the U.S. has given to the UK and is asking for Julian Assange's extradition under the Espionage Act.
Now, obviously, I'm going to be streaming portions of this and the speeches and stuff. Are you also streaming on Action for Assange?
Yes, we will be. I don't believe we are live yet, but we will be live streaming on Action for Assange. And then again, of course, tonight we will be doing our nightly wrap-up. But tonight's Wednesday, so it's our big vigil anyway, so we're hoping to have a little bit longer show tonight as well.
Excellent. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off for now. And then once all of this is set up behind me, and the speeches start going, we will go live once again. So here we are out in Alexandria, Virginia. This is where Chelsea Manning is being held. Action for Assange, keep up on these extradition hearings. The mainstream media is doing a lot of spinning, a lot of ignoring, and the alternative media is not much better. So we need you guys out there to get the information. We need you to go check out the phone call made by Aaron Schwartz to Cassandra Fairbanks, basically on behalf of the new Intel chief who wrote this indictment up on Assange. So much new information in the past few days. Please get that information to as many people as possible and turn them on to the fact that free speech in this country is not only under attack, it may be over if we allow Assange to be extradited to this country. We'll see you on the flip side, guys.